How many leaders listening to us right now can say, I sat down with Joe or Mary and I know what their purpose is? I would suggest not many. So my suggestion is for that is to sit down with each of those team members, those direct reports, sit down with each of them and have your managers sit down with their teams and those teams sit down with their teams. What is their purpose? Welcome to the show. Jim Robinson here. We're going to talk about when teams lose vision today. When teams lose vision. Let's go. Let's talk about this. Why do teams lose alignment as organizations grow? Sometimes I was talking even yesterday about even our organization. We have quite a few people, and over the years, as we've grown, sometimes things are growing, and we can even use this monetarily. Sometimes if let's say you're making $10,000 a month, and you got a team of 3 or 4, whatever that may look like. And then all of a sudden you have to get to 6 or 8 employees and 10 grand, will eventually pay. But right now you're spending every dime you have and there's no revenue coming in. So things will get misaligned. And when I do a coaching session on this, I actually draw it on a board and I show you what I call the abyss. It's a really deep hole. Things start to fall off, and then you go into, I got to market. And then you overmarket, and then you start to recover, then you can't afford the recovery. And so in teams lose alignment because of those types of things. Growth has to be a very steady, and I always use my hands, but there's a steady line that goes up. The trajectory has to go upward. And that trajectory, if it has dips in it, that's when there's misalignment. And as soon as there's a dip in the growth, there's a misalignment in the team. And that could be you got to change the team. You have to part ways with somebody. You have to say, geez, I got to show you grace to the front door. I'm not a good leader for you. Or we don't have management set up yet. And so sometimes you can lose alignment because of the growth alone. And so you really, when you get ready to grow, you need to figure out process, systems, what's going to change, who's going to be involved. And then the organization can grow effectively with the least amount of pain. The least amount. And I say that loosely because there's still pain. There's pain involved in growth. You just have to embrace the pain and what it actually is welcoming on the other side of the pain. On the other side of pain is pleasure. On the other side of pain is relief. So you have to endure that a little bit to be able to get to the other side. So teams lose alignment as organizations grow for that reason. Somebody that started with me, let's say 40 years ago, I have my CFO, Nikki, as you probably know her, but she started with me about 34 years ago. We're a very different company today. And she's being able to grow on that same trajectory, as I like to call that upward trajectory. At about 25 years, it takes off like a rocket, and it's a vertical growth. Because everybody at that age on a team is well aligned, and it's literally a rocket ship. You no longer have to control things. They grow organically, and it literally just keeps going up. That's how we know big businesses. They literally are on this trajectory. They have a couple of hiccups. They learn to go through the pain point. They learn to figure out the growth, process systems. And then at 10, 15, 20 years, the company starts to shoot straight up. Literally goes straight up. And then leadership is really the influence at that point. And everybody organically is clearly marching well. That's why you get that trajectory of growth. So teams can lose alignment when organizations grow, certainly at the embryonic era or age, so 0 to 10 years. After that, hold on, get your seatbelt tight, because it becomes a bigger moving piece. That's where all that stability we talked about in the other show, stability, consistency, that's what matters for that. Get ready for the ride. Vision drift inside healthy companies. If you take Walmart as an example, if you look at when Sam parted ways with this earth, Walmart also parted ways. Walmart lost their way. From that level of leadership to who they are today, radically different. Their belief system is radically different. What he believed and the culture he brought to Walmart was completely different than what you'll experience today. It's that's crazy, but the vision kind of drifted away from what Sam's vision was. He didn't have alcohol in the stores. They have alcohol in the stores. He believed in Christian or biblical principles. They've totally lost the way of that if you're walking in their stores. If you look at how they're treated, at least society's perception of how their employees are treated, it isn't well. That is the vision drift of what will cause healthy companies to lose their way. If you take GE, Jack Welch used to run that. He took it over. He said, geez, this thing's a mess. Let me go fix this problem. And all he did was fix things every day. He fixed things every day. And I think he ran GE for about 12 years. They had multiple brands that were ineffective, not profitable, ineffective, and they were producing crap. Jack Welch came in and said, here's how we're going to do this. Predictability was that he just said, we're going to get rid of some of these companies. We're going to sell them off. The ones that have viable, value, we're going to sell these things off. And the rest of them, we're going back to being General Electric. We build light bulbs and we build electrical components, and that's our space. That's our lane. We're going back to that lane. And to get there, he's, the 2 or 3% rule that he had, if you're familiar with his story, that he would fire the bottom 2 or 3% of performers every month. So if you'd fall into that category, he's showing you grace right to the front door and he's hiring next. He did this for his 12 years, whatever his tenure was with GE. It was quite some time. But he changed GE and saved them in some cases. I'm of the belief we still have GE because of Jack Welch. That's when a vision goes drift. The other leaders at GE went awry. The original vision for GE, build light bulbs, build electronic components, let's go all in and make this work. And by shifting all of that, the vision drifted. And that was a healthy company gone awry. Wrong leadership, wrong choices. Jack Welch created a drive. If you look at Walmart, as my earlier example, they've gone through a CEO every 2, 3 years, 4 years. I don't know the numbers exactly. I'm speculating on the time. I'm just saying they've gone through so many CEOs because there's no Sam Walton. Sam Walton had the vision of Walmart. It became Walmart, the most powerful store in the world from what they do. And today, they got a lot of disgruntled employees. They got disgruntled contractors. They got disgruntled suppliers. And I'm not confident they're aware. So the vision has been adrift. So healthy companies, vision drifts, they're not healthy anymore. How often should leaders communicate vision? I don't know if every minute is too much, but it's got to be frequent. You've got to paint the picture on a regular basis as to where we're going. The power of anticipation to get from your vacation, you're leaving the house and you're going to go 500 miles away. The power of anticipating that, you don't get sick. You don't get a cold when you're leaving on vacation. I mean, have you ever got sick on the day you're getting on a plane? Nobody does. The power of anticipation keeps people healthy. It keeps people focused. It keeps people driven. That's what vision does. It keeps people healthy. It keeps the business healthy. It keeps things moving, but you got to talk about that vision frequently or they'll lose sight of it. So Dave Ramsey says he's the chief repeating officer. He's the CRO. That's how vision works. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. You got to talk about it all the time because that's the buy-in. That's the healthy part. It keeps people on track. It's the vacation. That's the beauty. We're going to see the roller coaster at the end of the road. We're going to see the Mona Lisa. We're going to see the flower garden. We're going to see the boat. Whatever that vision looks like, you got to talk about it frequently. Otherwise, you will have a team that is sick on Mondays. They may be sick on Fridays. They will have a developed consistency in those elements. And it really is the health or lack of health of the company, not the individual. They're sick, and I add to that, they're sick and tired of not knowing. That's why they call in sick. You have to make sure you're communicating that vision regularly. They have to be crystal clear on their daily mission, why they showed up today, what do they got to do to drive the results. You got to talk about it all the time. And then all the time sometimes isn't enough. Keep talking about it. Chief repeating officer, be that. What happens when leaders assume everyone understands the mission? Wow, if you make that assumption, you know what the assume can be broken out in, but it's literally, if you make assumptions, you really have false expectations. Through assumptions, you have false expectations. I was talking yesterday to a group, and the fact is that if you don't have clear process and systems and a mission to accomplish that, the expectations of managers and leaders end up becoming unrealistic and not consistent. So the expectations change. So the expectation depends on my mood, maybe the season I'm in, my dog just died, I got in a car wreck, whatever it is for that leader or that manager. Your expectations of team performance are radically different tomorrow than they were yesterday, unless you have really clear process systems and then a mission to manage those things. What do we do every day? That's your mission. What do we do every day? And if you're crystal clear in that, now you can win. If you assume they all know this, you're basing things on expectations. The employee will think you have certain expectations and your expectations of that employee be radically different. Like today to tomorrow. Like you just, oh no, they knew. And you're going to come up with some oh no, they should have done, X today. They didn't do anything today. What are they doing? Now my expectations totally changed. Now I'm firing somebody that I failed to lead. So really, I think that's critical. Don't make the assumptions. Just talk about it, repeat it, ask them to repeat it back. Do you understand the mission? Not do you understand from a yes or no standpoint. What do you understand about it? Give me your interpretation and let's see how that aligns. Both of us need to align on this to make sure we're crystal clear. Daily decisions reinforce or weaken alignment. Daily decisions. Those decisions on the process and systems, if they're clearly defined, people can make decisions. You want to empower your team to make decisions. If you're continually, as a manager, having to make all of the decisions, you're taking all of your employees' creativity away. I can't imagine them working for you very long. That squashes people. It literally takes everything out of them. Why would they come back? Like that would make no sense to me. So you literally have to make sure they have the creative ability to say, here's what we have to get done. It's up to you to figure out the how part of it. It's literally how we're going to get there. All we're saying is, here's the system. Here's the expectation on the end. You get us from A to B and I'm going to step away. Some managers are so controlling and micromanage the process and we dictate the how all the way through. If we're dictating the how all the way through, we squash their ability to be creative, problem solve. We're not growing them. We're squashing them. They're going to be sick on Mondays. Then they're going to be sick every Monday. And eventually you're firing them or they're quitting because they're in pain. So you've got to develop that part of them. You've got to make sure they have the creativity to actually solve the problem, but be crystal clear in what their expectations are in their role. Some signs indicating the team is losing focus. Well, productivity, obviously. If you have some guidelines what they're supposed to do, presumably in their KPIs or the KRAs, you are crystal clear in what the expectations are. Those expectations are you got to deliver, 300 widgets or whatever that is for the month, and they lose focus of that. That is really something on the team, a person, or a lack of clarity. Set them down, have the conversation. So what do we understand about the mission, guys? Let's go over this. Let's talk about this today. Do that with a high sense of urgency, never delay. If you recognize the problem on Monday, Monday is when you have the meeting. If you recognize a problem on Monday, you do not schedule it next week. I don't care. You interrupt patterns, you interrupt schedules, but you do it immediately. Sense of urgency is the most critical thing they need to understand. Otherwise, the delivery to the client is the same. Well, we discovered your problem, but we're going to talk about it next week. Show me a client that enjoys that. That doesn't exist. So when there's a problem, when there's a discovery, when there's a misalignment, losing focus, boom. Right now is when we talk about it. Let's have a chat. Let's go. Let's sit in the office. Let's talk. We're going to solve this problem right now, or we're going to have a discovery at the very least. We're going to have a discovery as to how did I create this problem? I'm going to solve me, and then I'm going to help solve you. So it's literally I'm going to influence, I'm going to impact this. We're going to get to today, though. It isn't waiting until tomorrow. Show them sense of urgency. That'll get them on track. How do leaders reconnect teams to purpose? Well, you got to talk about it, because they also have a purpose. Why do they get up every day? How many leaders listening to us right now can say, I sat down with Joe or Mary, and I know what their purpose is? I would suggest not many. So my suggestion is for that is to sit down with each of those team members, those direct reports, sit down with each of them and have your managers sit down with their teams and those teams sit down with their teams. What is their purpose? That discovery is how do we align that purpose with the company purpose? If you align those two, your company is going to flourish, man. It's going to blow up. It's literally the rocket ship. It's the whatever that rocket ship we just had the other day land in San Diego. It's literally that because when people start to win for themselves, they're going to help other people win, man. It just goes up. So being able to get focused and align purpose so they get off their pillow for a reason because of fear they won't get paid on Friday and they can't pay their bills, or do they truly have a purpose and a calling? They've found their lane and they want to accelerate in this company. They want to do whatever. They want to commit to that. Help them find that purpose and then align the purpose with the business so everybody can win, the business and them. Reconnect the teams to purpose and do this frequently because their purpose, they may go through a divorce, lose kids. You don't know unless you sit down with them and realign. What's your purpose? Where are you headed this year? What are you going? What's your focus? What do you want to get to? I want a vacation. I want to be able to go on a cruise. Awesome. Let's get that targeted. Let's focus on that. How about May? Is May a good time to go? Let's get you scheduled on your time off. Let's get things aligned. They don't miss work anymore. They literally don't get sick anymore because now you got a healthy environment. They're going to focus on that. Align purposes. The role for middle management in vision alignment. Wow, that's kind of the front line in vision. Actually, I would say that middle management are the executing piece of what the ultimate vision is, and they're executing action items to accomplish the vision. The vision, keep in mind, is the pie in the sky. It's the 20-year thing. It's like how big or what do you need to accomplish? What does that vision truly look like? And if you're crystal clear in that, and you have defined action items, your middle level managers are the ones that are executing on the daily and driving those action items. So the discussion around your leadership is how did the team do last week? What did they accomplish? What was missed? Here are the action items this week. Middle management disseminates that information. Boom, the team starts driving those and executing on those tasks. So middle management really plays a role of executing on action items to drive the results. Those results ultimately drive the goal. The goal drives the vision. Leaders adjusting communication during growth season. Well, you gotta know all of your seasons, not just your growth season. And the communication will adjust. Let's say you live in Ohio and you got winter coming. What's that conversation look like? It's like, wow, we got to get the snowmobile suit out. We got to get the parka. We got to get the skis out, the sleds. We're going to have to be able to commute in the snow. That's a communication. And so in business, it's really the same. There's seasons in business and there's seasons of building, there's seasons of planting the seeds, the marketing, the et cetera. The communication around that is adjusting all the time. For us, a few years ago, many years ago, 30 plus years ago, I'd say, we started recognizing that in our branding, in the people we serve, they had cycles, and we just called them cycles back then. And we realized that, wow, one business is doing really well during, let's say, the last quarter of the year in approach to Christmas. The next business we were doing business with wasn't doing anything. And so we really got targeted on our verticals, the businesses we serve, for when they have their best growth. We wanted to diversify who we were doing business with so we could fill all quarters of the year with consistency because that's building the team. And so we knew when hospitality went strong, we knew when C-stores went strong, we knew when grocery stores went strong, we knew when restaurateurs went strong, we knew when veterinarians went strong, we knew which the season we were in. And so adjusting the communication, we would speak differently to a grocery store than we would to hospitality because their needs were different. And so we had to have a different conversation. So we got pretty dialed in on serving our verticals based on seasons. And so we as a company could develop consistency and we train people all year. And this quarter, they're learning hospitality. So they're working for Marriott's or Hilton's or others. So we got very consistent in that season. and the conversations around those seasons. We also talk about our clients' culture and what they're going through during their season. So if you have hospitality, say in Southern California, summer's their peak. That's a different conversation. And so being able to have those conversations around that's a different adjusted conversation based on season. And when they go on off season, so winter, we know what they need from us during winter. And that's the conversation we're also having with them as we would internally. What systems help organizations stay mission focused? For us, it was learning. Okay, this is a long time ago. Everything we used to do was on paper. And literally, we hand wrote out whatever we were going to do. We'd sign it to somebody. They'd have to come by the office, pick up the paper, and go to work. And so then we started, we got to have some kind of technology got to exist, or we're going to create it. And we started contributing in our market space to writers of content on platforms. And so being able to create systems that would help us stay on mission, our daily mission to serve the client, cost-effective solutions, et cetera, is to meet clients' wants and needs. And we really got focused on creating platforms that would help us accomplish our mission more effectively. And so today, there's a ton of platforms that we can communicate through. They are called platforms. And a brand that we do business with, as an example, may sign up for a platform. They say, okay, we're going to hire you guys to do X. Here's the platform we use. And so electronic platform, we communicate directly from job sites, directly from store sites, directly from hotels, directly from restaurateurs onto platforms from the field. That's radically different from what we used to do. That keeps us mission focused. It's using technology, not all of it, because some of it's just taking your money, but there's a lot of technology that has high value and you should be implementing it. You should be implementing in real time, because as soon as you roll out software, they tell you it takes 3 months. The reality is it takes a year. By the time you roll out a new software, you're already behind. So you're already archaic. It's just so old. And you're already having to write new content and platforms into a platform as soon as you roll it out. So they'll sell you on the concept, but they're just not accurate in their assessment. They're just selling. But 90 days is not enough to roll out a brand new platform. But you got to roll out platforms, and you may have to change frequently. We're changing again right now. And it's literally finding the best way to drive your mission. What can help your team accomplish the mission every single day? How can they do that every day? You got to make sure they have cutting edge technology. You got to make sure that you're delivering, that you're training all the time on how to use the platforms. Eventually, you train enough, they will start giving you feedback on what needs to be fixed, plugged, modified. And then that's when the writers have to go back to writing platforms to be able to fix your technology. So technology is a critical component. That helps all organizations. If you have 2 or 3 people, you're still maybe writing stuff, you're still doing stuff just on the phones, find another way to go to that other level. Share a platform, go on and pay a rental fee so you have somebody's platform that you can use. There's multiple of these, by the way. And you can use all kinds of platforms, and all of a sudden your discovery will be, I now have 10 people because of this opportunity. Now I need to buy my own platform. It's also with hiring people. There's always a part of that to drive that mission, but it is systems. People drive systems. Systems drive next. And so you really do have to find a way, stay focused on the mission, but it is technology and it is people. So keeping teams from losing the vision, you got to know when to repeat. You got to have meetings with consistency. This is not, let's have a meeting next week. You have to, with your level of whoever your people that your direct reports, those people with direct reports and right on down the way, everybody has to have consistent meetings for content. Content isn't about what you're getting back, but what you're delivering. So what are we doing this week to drive the result? You have to have those in meetings. That has to be discussed in a meeting with a clear-cut agenda and a timestamp. If you put 10 to 11, it must adjourn at 11. Otherwise, you show them that it's okay to run wild on your timing. Don't do that. Make sure you set your time, execute on that. Give them the vision regularly. Be the chief repeating officer. Talk about it all the time. Where are we going, guys? Where are we going? That'll keep people healthy because the company's healthy. That's critical. Company has to be healthy first before your employees will. Don't lose sight of your own vision and convey it to everybody on the team. They need to know it. They need to be able to repeat it. They go to the bar or the event, the dinner on Friday. You're not there. Where you headed? What are you doing? What's your company do? They need to be able to repeat that vision and regurgitate that information as though it's first-hand knowledge. Make it clear.